So before I start the video, I want to say this was recorded before the update went live. So despite the fact that I say that things can change because it's the PTU, what you see is what you're gonna get. So other than that, on to the video. With Alpha 324 around the corner, it's time to take an in-depth look at one of the newest professions coming to Star Citizen, cargo hauling, and see if it's worth it. And throughout the video, I'll be giving out tips that I've learned, some obvious, some not so obvious, on how to do these missions more efficiently, so stay tuned for that. So first, to start hauling, go to contracts and you'll find a new mission category called hauling. You'll start with an evaluation mission. In this example, my mission was to deliver 7 SUs of titanium from Seraphim to Orison. Simple enough. Now if you don't have a ship that can hold 7 SUs or whatever SUs of cargo required for your mission, that's fine, you'll just have to make another trip, possibly multiple. But I highly recommend, if you can afford it, to acquire either through buying or renting a higher capacity ship, because you're not going to want to make a second trip. So I'm in my personal hangar at Seraphim Station. If you'll notice, there are 2 freight elevators on either side and ends of the hangar, which is very considerate of the devs. You don't have to reverse park into your hangar. Here's another tip for any prospective haulers. If possible, land your ship as close as possible to the freight elevator with the cargo bay access facing the elevator, as long as it's not obstructing the elevator door. It sounds kinda obvious, but I believe many of you won't be initially thinking about how you orient your ship when landing in hangars when 324 comes out, especially with the new cargo gameplay and freight elevators. I certainly wasn't when I first did it. Prior to 324, I just land until I hear the doors start closing and exit my ship, and that was the most thought I put into landing a ship in Star Citizen. But there's a very good reason why you should do this, which I'll get into shortly. Next, you'll have to go to the freight elevator kiosk. Once there, you first want to transfer the elevator to the warehouse by clicking the down button below. You'll have to wait a brief moment for the elevator to move into the warehouse. But once it's there, the mission items will show up. Select them and click move to elevator. Then raise the elevator. Sometimes the game will bug and not actually bring up the cargo. In that case, just repeat the process. And here's what it looks like when the elevator brings up the goods. From there, you'll have to tractor beam those items into your ship. Now this is where my tip about parking your ship very close to the elevators is a lot more important than you think. Because it turns out the multi-tool sucks now, at least in the PTU. The tractor beam can only function up to 20 meters, which isn't a very long distance. It can no longer carry 32 SU crates, and they reduce the movement speed of both tractor beams. This is probably to incentivize using the more expensive max lift tractor beam for cargo hauling. Which brings me to my next tip. If your vehicle has a tractor beam, I highly recommend you use it, the exception being the Vulture and Reclaimer. With the new cargo gameplay, the vehicle tractor beams are going to be a lot more useful than they were in 323. It's a shame they're only in a handful of ships though. The C1 Spirit is amazing for cargo hauling because its tractor beam has direct access to the cargo bay. Heck, even if you have the Cutlass, I'd still recommend you use its shittier tractor beam. CIG has added the ability to rent new ships for the purpose of cargo hauling, so you can rent ships like the Taurus and the C1 Spirit. Currently these are PTU prices and will most likely change when the update goes live. Each city has different ships for rental. For example, in Hurston, you can rent the Caterpillar and Corsair. Once the cargo is loaded, head to your destination. Once there, unload your cargo into the freight elevator. Make sure all the cargo is attached to the cargo grid, otherwise the freight elevator won't work. Once all of it is in the elevator, head to the kiosk and move it to the warehouse. You'll get a prompt to complete the contract. Hit confirm, and after a brief moment, the contract will complete. And congratulations! You are now a certified Covalex cargo hauler. There are 6 rep levels for cargo hauling, from rookie to master hauler. And as with every profession, you want to climb the corporate ladder as fast as possible to land the juicy, lucrative contracts. And I believe the best place to do these contracts would be ArcCorp. Why? Well, for one, even though ArcCorp is a planet, there's no outposts on it, so the only valid destination is the spaceport. There's only 2 moons around ArcCorp, which simplifies travel, and there's 2 space stations nearby, Arc L1 and L2. Fortunately, getting out of rookie tier was extremely easy. I leapfrogged the whole tier with one small delivery mission. But once you get to junior rank, the amount of contracts you get goes crazy. In total, you'll get up to 69 giggity hauling contracts to choose from, split between rookie and junior rank. And it gets absolutely insane at member tier in Hurston with almost 120 contracts to choose from. I don't know if it'll stay that way when it goes live, but there's gotta be a better way to sort through all these contracts. I should also mention when you accept a contract, there is a time limit. but it is very generous. Now you'll notice that these contracts have sizes. There's extra small, small, and medium, with larger ones coming in higher ranks. Extra small only comes in 1 SU containers. Small comes in containers up to 4 SUs, and medium comes in containers up to 8 SUs. So if you can do math, you'll know that moving an extra small 7 SU contract is more work than moving a small 20 SU contract, despite moving more cargo. But does size matter? Well, there's only one way to find out. Here's the rep bar before I did an extra small junior level delivery, and here's after. Before, after. If I zoom in, you'll see I made literally 1 pixel of progress. It's like they didn't even notice. That's how satisfied they were with my performance. And again, this was a junior level delivery. What about medium deliveries? Well, again, here's the bar before doing it, and here it is after the junior medium delivery. And whoa, that's a big difference there. No need to zoom in. I guess you can say they were very satisfied with my performance. So yes, size matters. Covalex might not say so, but it does. It does. Fortunately, at least you can choose the size of your cargo. I'd recommend, if you want to power level the cargo hauling career, to focus on medium level deliveries, at least up to experience tier. Because it's the PTU, I can't say for sure how many deliveries it'll take to get to experience tier, since the devs keep tweaking the progression, but it's definitely a grind, and not a fun one compared to other professions like bounties, or security, or even salvage. There's not a lot of opportunities to save time and be more efficient for each mission. I believe the progression was a lot faster earlier in the PTU, so I don't think that's a good sign. Another tip is to invest in faster quantum drives, for obvious reasons of course. The XL1 for medium ships, and the TS2 for large ships. Now let's talk about what ships to use. As I've said before, focus on medium cargo mission. Now these missions require you to move anywhere from 80 to 112 SUs of cargo, so you gotta get a ship that can fit that. Here's another tip. Just because a ship is rated for a certain cargo capacity, doesn't mean that's its maximum capacity. The official number, which is the one you see when you retrieve it from a terminal, is how much you can attach to its cargo grid, but there's still plenty of space to put more cargo in your ship, just as long as you still have a way to get out of your ship. Now I mentioned earlier that CIG added new ship rentals for cargo hauling. You've got the C1 Spirit, the Raft, the Freelancer, the Taurus, Nomad. They even added the Kerak for some reason. If there's one ship that I would strongly recommend for medium cargo hauling, it would be the C1 Spirit. Despite being officially rated to hold 64 SUs of cargo, based on my testing, this ship can comfortably hold 120 SUs of cargo, so may even be able to hold double its official capacity. And the C1's tractor beam is fucking awesome. It's the best in the business. It has direct access to a cargo bay, so you don't have to leave your cockpit, and in a way, it's essentially your escape plan. Another ship that's great for medium deliveries is the MSR. Also rentable from cities, it's much like the C1 Spirit with a bigger cargo bay, but without the tractor beam. For small deliveries, the Nomad is excellent. It too has a tractor beam with direct access to the cargo bay. With each tier, the missions become more complicated. Rookie tier is a simple A to B. Junior involves picking up 1 or 2 different types of cargo and delivering it to 1 or 2 locations. Member tier deliveries always require moving multiple types of cargo to multiple locations. Although honestly, the only member tier delivery I've done is the Interstellar one where I deliver stims from Magnus to Everest. I don't want to plan ahead and think about how I should lay out my cargo. I just want to mindlessly take and stack shit into the freight elevator. Which leads me to another tip. If you want to power level your cargo hauling career, have more than 1 cargo ship. That's if you can afford it, of course. Me, for example, I would take 2 Crusader Spirits to the Magnus jump point and send my spawn there. That way, once I've accepted and completed the Magnus to Everest Harbor delivery mission, I can just kill myself and skip the 8-minute trip back, server hop, and accept another Magnus to Everest delivery mission and use the second Spirit, while insurance claiming the one I left back at Everest. But of course, you can do this for other types of delivery missions as well to increase efficiency. So after all this, is it worth it? Should you start donning your space trucker hat and start shipping cargo to and fro all over Stan? Well, in the PTO I tried to grind my way up to experienced tier, and I got pretty close until the game started bugging out and I started losing rep. So I can only go off based on member tier missions. In my opinion, no, it's not worth it. Once you've reached member tier, progression slows down to a crawl, you really start to feel the grind. Not to mention, for me, cargo hauling just isn't fun. And this is coming from someone who enjoyed Euro Truck Simulator. Constantly having to move boxes to and from freight elevators, combined with the overall jank and bugginess of Star Citizen, can make the experience very frustrating. Like if you lose a box to bullshit and you have no way of retrieving it, you're fucked. Like that's it, you can't complete the mission. You can't buy cargo to replace that box and use that in place for the mission, the game won't accept it. Fortunately, that has only happened to me once in the PTU, but there's still a bunch of other bugs like cargo not loading into warehouses or the freight elevators being bricked altogether. And the cargo is not interesting, it's mostly basic minerals and commodities, but that is actually understandable. You don't want to entice players to steal cargo. But considering how grindy the member tier felt, I cannot help but think experience tier will be nothing except more of that. Hopefully CIG tweaks the progression to make it faster, because I have no desire to even think about reaching Master Hauler. That being said, there's still money to be made from these missions. Small member rank planetary cargo missions can pay up to 53k, so doing 3 to 4 of these missions per hour will net you about 150 to 210k per hour, which isn't bad, and that's assuming they work. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to complete a single one of these because the freight elevators keep breaking and I lost a lot of rep because of it. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe and ring that bell. My impression is that the cargo hauling profession is going to be a very niche profession. Given its current state, I don't see many people doing it to make money, especially when there are better ways to make money. And the freight elevators, oh my god. Way to add more complexity to an already broken game. Just one more thing that can break every patch. Remember the Orson missions? They seem to break every other patch. Although unlike the Orson missions, these elevators seem more integral to the game, so it's probably gonna work most of the time. In the meantime, if you want more Star Citizen content, then I highly recommend you watch this video right here.